All right. All right, we're off and running. So, first of all, my name is Reva Gilman. I'm the Oregon Conservation Recreation Fund Program Coordinator. Um, and, just to start us off today, I really want to congratulate you all for being selected to receive a grant from the OCRF program. And yeah, just big congratulations and looking forward to supporting your project as we move forward. So my job is to help individuals like yourself go through the process of our grants, and that includes our contracting process. But with us today, I'd like to introduce a few more members of our team. So we have Shelby Shad, and she'll be presenting give a wave, Shelby. She'll be presenting the contracting process with a little PowerPoint in just a bit. We also have Marcus Jones. He's also with the contracting team, and he's had a long history of working with OCRF projects and agreements, so really glad to have him here for his expertise. And then, not with us today, but you'll be interacting with her. Tiffany Caldwell is our grants program specialist, and she's going to be handling the reimbursements for the program. So you might be getting an email from her at some point. Okay, so Shelby is going to walk us through the contracting process for Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And then after her presentation, I'll be going over some extra details about the reporting process of what you'll see in your grant portal. And then we're just going to open it up to your questions. So throughout the presentation, feel free to put your comments in the chat, and then use the raise your hand function at the end of Shelby's presentation. And as I said, feel free to turn your videos on. This is your time, and we're here to, do this for you to help you understand the process, here to answer any questions. So with that, I'll let Shelby introduce herself and take it away. Go ahead, Shelby.
Thank you, Reva. Hi, everyone. I'm Shelby Shad. I'm one of the procurement and contract specialists here at ODFW, and I'll be the one that's working on your grant agreement this year. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Oops. Thank you for being patient. All right. And can everyone hear me okay? Wonderful. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started on this. All right, so here at ODFW, we have a small but mighty team of contract specialists that are responsible for the oversight and the execution of all incoming grants, outgoing grants, the majority of the purchases made by the agency. We have intergovernmental agreements, which are contracts that we enter into with local, state, federal, and tribal entities, and pretty much any other type of contract that you can think of. Our contract services team gets to see all of the amazing things that our field staff do to support and fulfill our agency's mission, which is to protect and enhance Oregon's fish and wildlife and their habitats for use and enjoyment by present and future generations. Now, what exactly is a grant agreement? This type of agreement is just a contract that helps lay out the expectations and the responsibilities of the agency and the grantee. It goes over who will be doing what specific tasks, any deadlines associated with those tasks, what needs to be done prior to the grantee receiving payments, and all other details that help lay the ground for your project to be successful. These agreements also provide transparency to the public. That way, anyone can see how the agency is spending our money. Okay, so as the contract specialist that's going to be working with you, I'm I will not only be working with you, the grantee, and Riva, but I'll also be working with all other involved parties on these agreements. So I'll be handling all of the legalities and the tedious work that happens behind the scenes throughout this process. On here, we have a visual overview of the process that we will be going through. So this is just going to be a quick rundown. So first, the commission will approve the OCRF grantee recommendations, and this is where we are right now. So next, contract services. So anytime you see these, that's going to be me and my team if I need to work with them on anything. Contract services is going to evaluate the risk and the initial insurance requirements. And at the same time, Riva is going to be completing the grant agreement template. And then from there, OCRF coordinator Riva is going to develop statements of work and budget exhibits, and then it'll move back over to me where I will review the agreement and we'll talk about anything that I have questions about. Then I will be sending it over to you, the grantee. So at that point, you look it over. If you have any questions, then it would either go to myself or to Riva, and we will help get all of that information compiled and get everything squared away for you. If necessary, I will be working with DOJ. And then at that point, once everything is squared away and finalized, then the grantee is going to sign the agreement. Then I'll need the proof of insurance and we will sign the agreement and then the grant agreement will be executed. Okay, so insurance. Why do you guys need to have insurance? So these requirements will vary depending on the work that you plan to complete through the grant program. And these requirements are put in place to protect both you and the state. If you have any questions regarding specific OCRF insurance requirements, there's a link right here that you can follow. And I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but I'm just going to pull it up for you. So on here, it just goes over different types of insurance, how much per occurrence, and there's aggregate amounts. So if you're looking through this and you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. And if I don't have the answer for you, then I know who will, and I will get all the information that I can for you. All right, so I'm just going to go over a few pages of the grant agreement. I'm not going to read through it or anything. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. That way you know what it is you are looking at once you get this agreement. All right, so this is the first page. So this is going to go over who is entering this agreement, why, and then it's going to have dates and amounts. So the dollar amount and this 10% that's going to be withheld is going to be right here. And at the end of the grant agreement, there are going to be exhibits. So the first of these exhibits is the statement of work. This is going to go over what your plan is and how you are planning on completing your goal. Exhibit B is going to go over your budget and where all of these funds are going to be allocated. Exhibit C is just stating that we are incorporating your grant agreement or your grant application into this agreement. And Exhibit D. So this is what you're going to use in order to get your funds. So there are a couple of ways that you can submit this, and Riva in a little bit. If anyone has any questions, would you mind going over that?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Plan to do that.
One. Excellent, thank you. And then Exhibit E, this is going to be the insurance exhibit. So depending on the work that you are performing, this will say something different. So this is several pages long, and while you are reviewing the agreement, if you have questions about any of the specific types of insurance that are going to be required for your project, let me know. We'll run through that information like I had said before. And um, I in this process, I don't want any of you guys to feel overwhelmed or completely confused, because this can be a lot, and the insurance portion can be a little bit intimidating. So my goal is to make this as simple and clear as possible, and I will do everything that I can in my power to do that. All right, so Exhibit F. This is for the inadvertent discovery plan. So if your project has any ground disturbing activity involved, then this will be included in your agreement. And this is just basically saying what you need to look out for and what you need to do if you come across certain things. Now, that was a very, very quick overview of that agreement, but does anyone have any questions, thoughts, concerns, anything they would like to bring up? Okay. All right, Riva, did you see any
Go ahead.
questions come up?
Go ahead, Gina. It looks like Gina has her hand up. Or is it Jenna? Sorry.
Oh, it's Jenna. Thank you. Yeah. Just curious if you could flag anything in here that is different than it's been in previous years. If you know off the top of your head what might have changed, or if everything is consistent with how it's been in previous grant cycles.
It's pretty consistent. I can do my best to answer that. The inadvertent discovery plan is somewhat new in the past year or so, that we've started incorporating that and realized that that's something that needs to be in there for anything with ground disturbance projects. So that might be a little bit of a newer process for you to have that Exhibit F in your agreement. And then the only other thing that will be slightly different is, which I'll go over in a little bit, is that you have two options for how to submit your request for reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did
All
I
right,
miss anything, Shelby and Marcus, with what might have changed from previous rounds in that agreement?
not that I know of. Marcus, do you have anything to add?
The only thing that I can think of is maybe the fact that insurance is included. I'm not sure how recent grantees are to the program, but there was a point where insurance wasn't required. And so that whole process might be something that's new to them. And so, excuse me, helping out Shelby, if there's any questions around those insurance requirements, I can help out with that as well.
Thanks, Marcus. Any other questions about what Shelby just presented overview of the contracting and insurance process to you all. Okay, well, I'm not hearing anything. Thank you so much, Shelby, for that. It was a great overview of the contracting process. I hope that shed a little bit of light on the amount of work it's gonna, and hopefully you have a little bit of patience with our team as we go through that because it does take a little bit of time. So the grant agreements will be emailed out, as Shelby mentioned, to the grantee. And what we have on file is the primary applicant email. So let us know if you need to change that contact info, just to make sure we have the most up-to-date person to email that grant agreement to. And also just a reminder for this contracting grant agreement process that you can't spend our project funds until you actually get that fully signed executed agreement from us, from ODFW. So as much as we're excited to help you get your projects off the ground, and I'm sure you're all ready to go, we do have to wait till that grant agreement is fully signed before starting and expending funds towards the project. So when you do get that grant agreement, recommend that you read through that fully. And as Shelby said, she's happy to help with any questions, and I am as well. Make sure that you have a good understanding of it. And then after that point, you can request reimbursement for your project costs after they've been expended. And I'm just gonna try to go over that process a little bit more and shed some light on that. So for reimbursements, you can request them through your quarterly progress reports that are assigned in the grant management system. So it's the same online website that you applied for the grant through your application. You will have a applicant portal and you can log in and you'll see all the follow-up reports have been assigned to your account. So you're going to be filling out your paperwork through that progress report, and then you'll have the option to request reimbursement if you'd like. It's optional if you don't want to request at that time. You don't have to, but I'll just go through that progress report in a little bit and show you what it looks like. But you will need to attach any supporting documentation, your invoices for project work that has occurred. You can upload receipts for materials and supplies and equipment. And you can upload, breakdowns of personnel time, anything that you'll be charging to the grant, you can upload through that system. Yep, so just make sure to keep track of all expenses throughout the life cycle of your project. So I'm going to go in and show you what that quarterly progress report looks like now. And let's see, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can you all see that? Is that showing up for you? Okay, so I have actually logged in so this is what the applicant dashboard for the High Desert Museum would look like. And if you click this little home button up here, it'll take you to your home page, which should be this page right here. You'll see your upcoming reports. So, and then all of the progress reports that have been assigned to you throughout the life cycle of your grant project. And then the due dates are here. So let's just take a quick look at the quarterly report, progress report 1, see what that looks like. So basically it'll automatically fill in your project title. You can put in your invoice period, start and end date, select the type of project, if it's an advancement or reimbursement. And then if you do want to request reimbursement, this is the optional tool you have here. So you can say, yes, you want to request reimbursement through this progress report, or no, you're just reporting on the project and don't need to be reimbursed at this time. So if you do hit yes, it will have more options at the bottom of the form for you to upload your reimbursements. And then you'll just put in the information, status of the project, and a quick progress update, any barriers or risks, and then optional engagement or news that you'd like to share. So that's about it for the progress report. It's pretty short and sweet. And then down here is the reimbursement financial section. So this is where you can, if you have administration costs for in this billing period that you'd like to charge, personnel, all this budget breakdown you would fill in. And then you would provide a short description of each of those costs. And then this is where you can upload all of your supporting documents. So invoices for that billing period and supporting documentation like that. Receipts for equipment, etc. And then let's see, and then you would just sign and submit the follow-up form, and it'll be logged into your grantee portal page, and it'll be sent to me. So that's how you fill those out. I'm just going to go back now and show you what the final report looks like, so you're not surprised when you see that. So it should be down here. Grant project completion report, and it is due at the end of your grant project lifecycle. So for this final report, you're going to be providing the actual impact value. If you, after the end of your project, you're going to report on, how many volunteers did you actually engage with? How many acres did you end up restoring throughout your project? So we can kind of keep track of that. And then if there were strategy species that were benefited, you could put that there. Project statement and a summary of the goals and lessons learned. So that's the final report. And then there's optional, you can upload any photos or project maps, that type of thing for reporting. And we'll be posting these final reports to the OCRF website. So make sure that they're kind of avoid jargon and that type of thing so that they can be read by the public. Okay, so that's what I have for the grantee portal page. I'm gonna stop sharing. But that's kind of the process for submitting reimbursements. You can go through there. You can also, as you've seen in your grant agreement from Shelby, fill out that Exhibit D form and then just email it to the OCRF email if you do want to request reimbursement between those progress reports, if your organization needs to be reimbursed between when those are assigned. So those are assigned every 3 months, but if you do need additional reimbursement, just send it our way. We are pretty flexible with making that happen. So you have those two options for reimbursement. And then the reimbursement process typically takes about a month. So try to, if you do need funds urgently, try to get those in as soon as possible and ahead of time so we can prioritize that and get time on our schedules. If you are a new organization to the system, a new vendor would need to be added, so that might take a little bit of extra time because our accounts team would have to ping the IRS, check on address, tax ID, etc. So again, if you do have an urgent reimbursement need, reach out and we'll try to expedite that and make that happen. So once again, congratulations to everyone here. So this was a pretty competitive round of funding. OCRF received 52 applications. So I just want to congratulate you all again on receiving funding for your projects, and we're looking forward to supporting them and getting them off the ground and making them happen. So thank you for the great conservation and outdoor recreation work that you all do. I see a question from Julia. Go ahead.
Hey there. I was just wondering about the advancement versus reimbursement options. So are there any limitations on getting an advancement as opposed to a reimbursement? And can we start that process as soon as we get the agreement set up? Is that part of the agreement process? Saying which one you want, which one you need?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And so you would have filled out in your application whether you wanted a advancement requested that or a reimbursement type. And so then you would actually have, if you've requested advancement, you'd have a different grant agreement. It would be an advancement type grant agreement that will specify the terms of that advancement, which is just a little bit different. So instead of reimbursing, maybe you're getting 50%, 90% of the project ahead of time, project funds, and then you would submit the paperwork afterwards, after having already received the funds.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Sean.
Thanks, Riva. Thanks for the real rundown. I think just echoing a couple of questions in the chat. I guess, when do you expect we'll see the grant agreements getting emailed out, and what's the kind of timeline given the services team's kind of current workload? When might we expect execution, provided we don't have hit any major snags in the process?
Great questions. And thank you for steering me towards the chat, because I did miss those questions in there.
No worries.
Okay, so the first one is, I see from Antonio, what if I can't afford the insurance? Is there money for me, or can I use the grant money to pay for insurance? Yes, so you could definitely, we highly recommend including the cost of insurance in your project budgets when you're applying. And so many of you have done that, or your organization can afford that. And if not, that there's a question in the application for if you do need additional funding for insurance. So the OCRF has a supplemental insurance fund, basically, to help applicants who are in that situation. So if you do end up estimating the cost of insurance for your project, you end up going through the contracting and insurance process and find out that you need a little bit more to reach those levels of required insurance. The OCRF program does have some reserve funding to help folks out in that situation. So if that were to happen, we don't want insurance to be the reason that your project's not going to happen. So we'll try to remove those barriers as best we can. I hope that answers that question, Antonio. And then let's see, when should we expect to have signed contracts and start the work? So I would say the earliest would be May 15th is like the earliest that we'll start getting grant agreements fully executed. The process does take some time, as I mentioned. So Shelby, if you want to jump in there,
Yeah.
my estimate is May 15th and onward, we'll start getting through the process and getting folks their fully executed agreements. But something that might speed it up is kind of if organizations kind of start preparing their certificates of insurance that they have. That's one thing you could do ahead of time to get the process rolling. Do you have any other suggestions, Shelby or Marcus, to kind of help
I
that?
think that's a wonderful suggestion. If you guys can have your insurance on hand and have that at the ready, that will help out so very much. I would say as long as there are no extreme speed bumps that come up, I would say in the next couple of months, we should be able to have all of them executed. So as Reva said, May 15th and onward is what I would expect. So maybe between May and June 15th. My goal is to have all of them done before the end of May. But just because the process does take a little bit of time, I cannot make you any promises on that deadline.
Yeah, and
Marcus, do you
just
have
to,
anything?
I was just going to add to that. Shelby's going to be doing her best. She has a very large workload, but we're going to try to make this go through as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and I was just gonna echo, your strategy about having the insurance ready. Um, that has been, kind of the speed bump that happens in the process, and so just kind of being aware of that and having that ready will kind of speed up and smooth out the process. And so I that's a great suggestion.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hey, thank you. Just some follow-up questions on that. Can you share the page where we can see the insurance requirements? And then also, I'm assuming, would it be ODFW listed on this COI? And can you give us that information? Typically, our insurance agent needs like address and contact info and that sort of thing to create those certificates.
Those are really good questions. Thank you. Yes, we will put that in the chat, and then I can also send that out when I send out the recording for this and try to include that in that email too. Any other questions from the group? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I got another one for you. So we're with Erica and I actually are both with Oregon State University, and this, although I'm sure it's not OSU's first OCRF, it is for us and our team. Wondering for the financial reporting piece, usually that is done, and I'm sure other institutions, other grantees might be in a similar process or situation where our sponsored programs usually does all of the invoicing independent of kind of the programmatic reporting. So I'm wondering how that has been managed in the past. Is it up to the grantee to coordinate with the our sponsored programs office to funnel all the reporting through us to submit them on the portal, or does the OCRF program just have a different mechanism for, say, our sponsored programs to be doing that invoicing or reimbursement reporting in another means?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have funded OSU projects in the past, and what they've done, so now we have it's a newer grant management system. So
Right.
I'm not sure I don't think that sponsored programs have ever logged on through that to submit, but we have received emailed reimbursement requests from sponsored programs office just through our OCRF general email, and then they've sent in that Exhibit D with their sponsored OSU's invoice and then any supporting materials. So they've figured it out. So they know how to email us, and I'm not sure if they would be able to go through the grantee portal, but you would be able to hit that collaborate button on the top right of your form and add
Okay.
any email that you wanted. So you could try to see if they wanted to go through that. The collaborate feature works pretty well for adding anyone that you'd like to have work on a form with you, a reporting form.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that. But I guess as a backup, good to know that we can still email. So we'll look into that
Yep.
and report back.
Mhm.
Great,
Sounds
thanks,
good.
Reva.
You bet. All right, any other questions that have popped up? Yeah, go ahead, Anne.
Yeah, thanks. My question is about reimbursement requests. Can we just do them on a yearly basis while we're submitting the quarterly reports? That's how our
Absolutely.
financial people like to do them. So,
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
The option is there if you want to do it more regularly, but you can do it yearly. If you just want to compile your invoice for the year and send it our way, that works as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions that you can think of before we end for today?
Just one more from me, please. If we have
Mhm.
questions specific to our project, I didn't want to take up time here, but should I refer them to you, Reva, or to Shelby?
Yeah, if you have, I would say, if it's a project specific question that's not insurance or grant agreement related, give me a call and we can meet and chat about it.
It is
I'd love
grant
to,
and
I'd love to talk
insurance.
with you. So it's what?
It is grant and agreement related. The
Okay.
questions that I have, just because things are a little complicated here, as far as things are a little bit different than when I applied for the grant. So
Right, I
need
remember.
to,
Yep.
yep.
Mhm.
So are those questions that I should call you about, or should I call Shelby about it?
Yeah, call me and then if I want to ask for Shelby's help and refer to her, I can send it her way as well. But
Great.
send it to me first.
Okay, doke. Thank you very much.
Work on it. Mhm. All right, well, I'm not hearing any more questions, so I wanted to thank everyone again. Thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit about the contracting and insurance and grant agreement process. Um, and just again, look forward to supporting your work as you guys go out and do great things for the state. We're kind of just happy to be administratively partly along for the ride, but really happy to support the work that you guys do. So thank you all. And again, don't hesitate to reach out for questions. If you're not sure, send it through me or Shelby, and we'll get your questions answered. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, but thanks again, everybody, and we look forward to making your projects happen. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.